All right, good day, everyone. Welcome back to the second session. For your info, for the first session recording, I have already sent the link to everyone. So just in case anyone did not receive yet, just let me know. I will send it again to you. So make sure you got the recording for the first session. So welcome back, everyone, for the second session. So we have Santi here with us. So if everyone okay, see me well, hear me well. So let's start the session today. Santi, over to you.
Thank you very much, Alvin. And thank you everyone for joining the workshop today as well. And well, yesterday we discussed many things, but probably one that was critical was understanding how business strategy matches what we do in terms of data analytics. And we also discussed how innovation could be as well a good argument for executives to buy in terms of what we do when we run data analysis. So I reckon that was something that gave us, the foundation of what we're going to discuss today. So today we need to discuss about how to develop, how to create a workflow that makes sense, how to develop a pathway for data to take shape. And I reckon that is going to be very, very useful for some of you, especially if you are in the process of designing these processes or these protocols, how are called in some businesses. And yeah, so before I start with an explanation of how I do it, I would like to ask a few of you, what is your experience designing business processes or data processes? Have you done this before? Are you using a particular software to do this? Do you have a team that is supporting you to develop the mapping of these processes? Are you the responsible person to do this? Tell me something so I can find out how to help you better and what is that I should focus on. So I'm going to start with Lynn. Lynn, how are you today? 1 second, I will. No worries.
Hi, I'm well. Excuse me, I just got back from the gym, so I'm feeling flustered. Yes, your question, sorry, I tuned out slightly. The question is how I am going.
How are you going in terms of designing
yes.
the processes that make your business operational? And how is that interconnected with the work that you do? Probably you are not the person that is designing the processes, but it's very likely that somehow you are interacting with them.
Yep.
What is your experience? Yep.
So I think one of the challenges that we've had is that we're a relatively new team. So and I guess I'm relatively new myself, and because of that, we haven't had embedded processes in place. So this is, I guess, a really great opportunity because we are relatively new. We do have, I guess, the luxury to look at how we want to embed these processes now at the outset and have a way of moving forward.
Yep.
So far, in my experience, it's been pretty haphazard. We have all these data sets that we're the custodians of, and we just really it's just sitting in our drive. We haven't really had a lot of time because we have been reactive to a lot of things. So we haven't had the time to sit down and think about how we're going to present this data, if you will. And I guess that's one of the reasons why I was signing up to this course as well, to get some ideas, to hear from other people's experiences. But certainly in this space, I think I am very not mature in having these processes in place. So
thank you for your honesty and how straightforward you were. Let me tell you, what is happening to you is very, very normal. So this is something that is not unique to your business case. Very few companies are actually mature enough to manage data, and that's why we're here, as you say. Look, but that said, hopefully you can make a change as soon as possible. Hopefully today you will be able to see what is the pathway to organize that data that you have saved in your drives and how to start developing processes that will facilitate the flow of that data. So, you know, when we talk about processes, we need to think about, you know, like highways or roads that will facilitate people commuting from one place to the other, people, in this case, being data. So thank you for sharing that, Lian. Kevin, good morning. How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. Oh, good afternoon for you, because you are in Australia, yes?
Yes, Adelaide. Yep.
Adelaide, yes. All right, Kevin, tell us a little bit about, you know, like, do you have like the processes mapped in terms of how the business runs or how the department runs? Do you have any experience that you can share with us in that regards? Are you using a particular software to develop these processes or to map these processes, or you are using a more traditional way to do this?
I guess I'm sort of coming at it more from the development side. So, but as a department as a whole, we've just started heading more down the agile path. So we tend to use tools like DevOps. And as I say, we've just started on the agile process. So we're now sort of working towards user stories. And we've got a QA team, and we're just kind of following that whole sort of software development life cycle. So in terms of processes, I guess I'm just kind of more on the receiving end of the processes, being sort of heading up the development team, whereas we've now got a BA team that kind of work with the users to develop these stories.
Fantastic. Well, have anybody here heard about a concept that is called design thinking? Design thinking, anyone? All right, because that is a traditional way to approach this as well. And when I was looking at Kevin's wall, I thought probably he's applying design thinking methodologies to find out what is the right process to run, or which one is the right process to eliminate, because that may be the case as well. So just for your consideration, not part of what we're going to discuss today, but if you get yourself versed in terms of what design thinking is, that may help you a lot, seriously, when it comes to data visualization, because it makes you think as a designer. And designers, you know how they are. They like things to look good. They like simplicity. They like people to appreciate the job and the work they do. I love myself beautiful systems. I call them beautiful systems. When you have something that looks good, that make people feel comfortable in terms of how they interact with that system, that's what I call a beautiful system. And it's usually the result of having a design thinking methodology in the background. So if it's new, go and research about it. If it's something that you are familiar with, well, good on you. Thank you, Kevin. Agne, how are you? It's good to have you here today. How are you been?
Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm good. Sorry, yesterday I kept camera off because connection is dropping off. So yes, and I was working on the background doing something. But
Sure.
yes, it was very interesting. And thank you, Santi, and other participants. I heard the examples. So yes, I'm working with Paul in the same team in the digital health agency. And we have big data, we have challenges with data. So yes, that's why I hope to learn as well something new and how to deal with that. So
fantastic. Thank you so much, Shakman. All right, cool. So look, one of the first things that I want to tell you is you need to identify the signal. All right. So if we want to design the process, you want to design the process for our data to flow. The first thing that I would do is to find out what is the signal. All right. So that for me is the step number one. Is you to be open to discover what could be the right signal for you to make a decision about it, and hopefully to run a process based on that signal. This is by the way, what I refer as well when I explain this to my students is as well the why. Yeah, there is someone that I really appreciate, someone that I really like, that is called Simon Sinek. I don't know if you have seen Simon Sinek here. This is a guy from USA that explains the golden circle. If you're not familiar with Simon, I'm just going to search it quickly because I reckon that will be good for you as well. 1 second. So in the chat, I just paste a link to Simon Sinek, which is really good. I believe that will give you a lot of clarity to design processes, a lot of clarity. Yeah. All right, cool. So that's something for you to watch later, but this is the reason, I mean, that perspective of Simon is how I developed this process that I'm going to explain to you, or this methodology to design processes. So what is the signal? The signal is the why we're here. You know, like what is that thing that we perceive that is giving us an indication that we need to act on. So examples of signals, sales are going down. You know, sales are going down. So if that is happening, then that may be a good signal for us to review what is the current process that is facilitating sales. We have an opportunity to improve, or maybe, which is what I prefer sometimes, to be honest, we have an opportunity to destroy, to kill the entire process. We have an argument. I need to be super clear about this, all right? Because constant improvement, even though it's beautiful, you know, I am someone that believes in constant improvement and Six Sigma. When it comes to manufacturing, of course, yeah, we want to be super efficient in terms of what we do in the plant. That is great when we are working in that kind of environment. But when we are working with data, constant improvement just doesn't work. Sometimes it does, all right. Sometimes it does. I just don't want to be black and white here. Sometimes it does. But I have found through my experience that sometimes it's better to destroy the process and to start from scratch, especially because majority of time you are playing with digital assets in terms of these processes and software. So it's not that radical in terms of destroying value. It gives you the opportunity to start with a fresh mind and develop the process. So if sales are going down and you go back to look at the process that is generating sales in the organization, you may say, all right, let's try to find out what is the weakest link in terms of the processes, and you can improve that link, or you can replace that link, or you may define, which is what I prefer to do. Instead of fixing something that is broken, let's try to find a process that is more relevant to today's business environment. All right, that is a different view to fixing the problem, all right? But it's one that usually brings more value to the organization. More risky? Yes. More expensive? Yes, it is more expensive. By the way, now that we're talking about it, just a little bit of a parenthesis here, a bracket. Yesterday, when we were discussing about how to develop business capabilities to manage data and to present data and to develop stories, I didn't explain something that I reckon is critical. The budget that you have in order to develop these technologies, in order to improve these processes, in order to train these people that is behind these processes, technology, processes, people, remember that we discussed that? If you don't have the budget, the sophistication of what you do is going to be limited. So it is important. And at the end of this module today, we are going to discuss how to get executives, directors of the company, you know, to buy in terms of what we do. Because we need the budget. It's not that it's crazy expensive in terms of the budget requirements for the sake of being expensive, or no, it's just that because it's digital, because it's software, because it's virtual, because they are made of stories. It shouldn't be connected with, all right, it should be inexpensive. No, that's not the point either. So sophistication here is critical, and the sophistication of how you present data through stories is usually the result of having you having a healthy budget. Just to close that parenthesis. All right, so we need to identify the signal. So the signal could be, all right, sales are going down. What could be another signal that may be telling you that you should act on a process? What could be another sign in the market? So imagine that you are looking at the market. Yeah? What could be another signal?
Different types of users appearing. So the analytics, your target market might be over 40s, but you start seeing 20-year-olds. So you're going, or how are we going to capitalize on that? This new market.
Right. Yeah. Exactly right. So we have a change in terms of our market base. So market segmentation, for instance, is something that we do when we develop business processes. We find out, all right, what is my market? And then we segment that market in terms of some variables. And you guys will know that. Those variables are demographic variables, geographic variables, and psychographic variables, all right? And we use these knives to cut that big cake into more manageable slices. And what happens sometimes is that we see a migration of people in terms of our market base. So what used to be our market base, people 40s, 50s, now, because of technology or because new legislation, happens to be people between 20s and 30s. All right, so that change, that migration in terms of the market base, which develops or creates a new target market, could be a really good signal for us to evaluate the process again. Yeah, good one. So we have a change in the market base or target market. We may have a decline in sales. What could be another sign, guys?
I don't know, competition?
Thank you so much. And that is the one that I was actually waiting for someone to mention, because that is critical. That is the one that usually triggers the entire process. Because we are humans and we're always looking at who is next to us trying to eat our lunch. Yeah, and that is nice. That is good. That is why we survive, yeah, because we are observant to that. And majority of times when we change business processes, it's because we have a new competitor in the marketplace, majority of times. It's not because sales are going down. It's not because we have a new market segment or a new target market as a result of that segmentation. It will be very nice to be that proactive. But what happens, to be honest, is that, all right, we are a little bit reactive. And what we do is, all right, there is a new competitor coming from a different country. How should I adapt my business models so I don't get behind what they do? Yeah. So I remember that I was working for a solar energy company here in Australia as a consultant about 3-4 years ago. And there was a company from France called Sylvania. And Sylvania was huge, huge compared to the Australian company that was starting to, work in this field. And what we did was, all right, let's try to analyze what is Sylvania's business process to find out if we can compete against them. If we cannot compete against them, what we need to do, all right, that will be a big business decision, which could be, all right, let's change our product offering or let's change our market. And that's what we did. We analyzed what is the current business process of Sylvania. We found very, very quickly that we will not be able to compete against the muscle that they had because of margins. And we decide, as a result of the consultancy, we decided to change the process mapping. So instead of developing solar solutions for businesses, we start developing solar solutions for councils, for small governments. And that was amazing. Like this company was doing well before Sylvania, and after Sylvania, they were doing even better because they went after a niche as a result of analyzing that process. So that's why for me the signal is critical. You need to find out why you are evaluating the business process. And if you don't have a business process, which is probably Lian's case, then you need to find why you need to do a business process today. And majority of times, the reason why we need to start with a business process today is because there is an opportunity in the market. And majority of times, to be honest, companies, as we know, are a bit reactive. They change business processes because there is a grant that they can apply for. Yeah, in Australia, for example, access to government grants is one of the drivers of business change. Unbelievable, but that is the case. You know, there is a grant. The company wants to take advantage of it. The company needs to present a business case. Once they do the business case, they find out the weakest points in the business process. They don't present that. They adapt the business process, or they change the business process in order to participate for that grant. Right? So that as well is the why. Okay, cool. But it's majority of times it's related to competitors, to the people that you are serving in the market, or to the methodologies and processes that are currently running in your organization. And they may be a little bit wear off, or they may be a little bit obsolete. I'm going to give you an example about that one before I move to the next point. I was working a digital transformation project for a large multinational. And when I was developing the initial phase of the project, which is observation, it was basically just analyzing, reading, talking to people, running some interviews, you know, then I found quickly that the company had too many software to manage data. And the data was all in different silos. And they were not connected. They were not like a central brain for the company to manage data. And that was easy for me to find, but was very, very difficult to implement, because happens to be that different departments, they were owning different softwares. They didn't want to lose ownership of those softwares, because that was a direct threat to the very existence of those departments. Are you getting this? So this is the kind of scenarios that you will be confronted with, because the outcome of you doing a business processes implementation is to have a more efficient operation. And if you are not okay with this particular, then it's not going to work. And when we run business operations, and when we try to be more efficient in terms of those business operations, majority of times what we do is we reduce the number of silos, the number of departments, the number of people, the number of links concerned with that business process. And it may end in you having to discuss this with human resources, or if you have the luxury to have a change manager in the company, that's a luxury, to discuss this with the change manager in order to support that person or that department that may be redundant because of this new process. So it's just for you to map out a little bit what is the world that you're getting into. It's really, really complex. When you start with the process mapping, everybody loves you. Oh, that's the person that we need in the company. She's going to take us to the next level. How amazing that we have someone like her. And we are such a good company because we have the capability to hire someone like her. And that is the first thing that happens. And you know what happens then? Once that person starts realizing and developing the new processes, and those processes are hand off to people that need to run them, they go like, oh my goodness, but this is what I need to do. This is too hard now. It's too much work. I don't want to change. She's not that nice anymore. She's not there, you know, because now you are actually spreading that process through the team. And then what happened next is that there is a rejection, a huge rejection to change at all company level. Human resources start supporting you less. Operations start supporting you less, until that last moment when somehow you have the thumbs up, you implement the new process, and then you start having good results. At that time, you start having a life again. But it's a difficult situation because you are creating change. And when you create change, it is painful, painful. I'm going to show you a graphic that represents these two best advantages. Just give me 1 second. If I see it. Just 1 minute. Just 1 second, Agne. 1 second. All right, can you see my screen with that chart there?
Yes.
All right, so this is what we do. The company is here in the current state. The reason we need to run a project in order to update the processes is because we want the company to move up, to change. So as you can see, the variables here are business value. It goes up, the business value goes up, and that happens in terms of time. Now, this movement from A to B creates a lot of disjunction, creates a lot of disruption. You need a very, very powerful stakeholder to sponsor this first. It's not like you can do it yourself. You need a very, very powerful stakeholder to sponsor this. And that person is not the one that is working on your business transformation or process mapping at all. No, it's just someone that believes in what you do. Happens to be that this person, this sponsor, is someone with a lot of power in the company, but also a lot of influence. All right, and happens to be as well, listen up, that this individual will defend your project against other projects that may arise as well. So you need to find this person to support you, but you are the one doing it, and that transition from A to B is painful. And that's why people like you and I, we have an academic preparation. We have been exposed to different scenarios in order to run this beast. All right, Agne, please go ahead.
I just was thinking, Santi, when you mentioned that people would be negative, right, for the changes and so on. So I was thinking maybe, you should kind of find the benefit and to communicate to the people why the changes are necessarily and how they would improve the process and, maybe save time for people, and that would be easier for them to work kind of these things to avoid that negative feedback, just to bring the benefits why that is done. What do you think?
Well, to be super honest, Hannes, I believe it will not work well, and I'm going to tell you why. But this is my perspective. This is my personal experience. It may work for you. Probably it may work for you. But when you explain people the benefits of something that they don't know, they are not familiar with, they usually don't get it anyway. That is the issue, and that's why yesterday, when I was talking about the storytelling, I was trying to explain to you guys, let people to find the benefits themselves. And once they find the benefit, you need to celebrate that. And that is going to connect better. So I believe in that because I strongly believe that we humans, we are very particular beings. And when we are told something is good, sometimes we are hesitant. But when we find out that something is good, usually we believe that that is something that is positive in terms of our careers or our business and so on and so on. So if you are the kind of leader that can convey this positivism from day one, go for it. Fantastic. But when it comes to storytelling, the methodology has been written so you allow others to find the benefits, and in doing so, they buy in. So what we need to do first, if we are more of you know, the traditional kind of leader, what we need to do first is, all right, guys, this is what is happening. You know, like we have less sales this year. You know, instead of going straight away to the solution mode, because the solution mode is great, I know, if you are such a powerful leader and people will follow you regardless. And then you go and say, look, this is a solution that we have. We need to reduce costs in the company. We need to fire a couple of people. We are not going to pay you for the next month because whatever. And you go straight away into the solution mode that will benefit the company. And that may be good if you are capable to do something like this. But what I want you guys to think in terms of this methodology is let people to find out what is the solution to this. How you do it? You expose the signal. And that's what I was talking about, the signal. All right. This is what is happening. We don't have more sales this month. You know, and this is just a hypothetical scenario. You know, as a business owner, that you will not be able to pay people next month. Let's say that we're talking about a small business, all right? Let's think that we're talking about a small business that doesn't have the funds of a large corp. And you have an issue as a founder. You have an issue as a director. Yeah, you want to tell people, look, the sales are down, and we are not going to be able to pay all of you next month. What would you do? Would you tell that to people straight away? No, you are not going to do that. You are not going to do that. You are going to try to find out how people will give you the solution to this conundrum. Right? So how you do it? You get people in the boardroom or in a meeting place, yeah? And you tell them, hey guys, look, we are not doing much sales this month. This is going to affect us. All right. And then you will tell them how you reckon we can solve this situation, how we can move ahead, how can we find out what is that we should do. And they will tell you, well, give us some information. And that's when you say, well, if I want to give you some information, I can tell you that this X represents the amount of money that we need to run this business next month. All right. And this S represents the salaries that I need to pay you next month. Straight away, through visualization, if you are smart, you will realize that the amount of money that you need to pay salaries is higher compared to the amount of money that you need to run the business for operations. This basically means that you will not be able, if you want to keep running the business next month, this basically is telling people that the salaries will not be paid. But you are not telling them. They are observing that. Because this that is representing business operation is smaller compared to the salaries. So someone would say, oh, does it mean that our salary is in jeopardy next month? Okay, let's discuss that. You see, is how you create the environment for people to find out what you need to discuss, whether that is negative or positive. That will allow you to connect with them. And then you say, all right, cool. If that is the case, what solutions we may have? And then you may say as a leader, I'm going to leave you in the room for you to decide how we can fix up this situation. And you leave the room as a leader, and then you came back and they tell you, you know what, we have a solution. You will be only paying salaries or wages to people that really, really need that money next month. And you will be surprised as a leader, but it's because you create the environment. And they will tell you, yes, pay the salaries to people that have mortgages or people that have family, people that doesn't require the money this urgently. They are okay waiting for 2 or 3 months. So this is a silly example that I gave you, but it's just a rhetoric. You know, it's the rhetoric, the connection of concepts is what will allow you to go through these kind of situations. All right. And that's why, again, we were discussing about design thinking before as a methodology that I really, really respect for you to find solutions. In this particular case, you can use another methodology that is called emotional intelligence, which is trying to place yourself in somebody else's shoes. And the ultimate representation of this is when you allow people to be you, to find the solution instead of you giving them the solution of the benefits. So emotional intelligence, super, super important here. For those of you who want to go a little bit deeper into this area of knowledge or knowledge area, I would like you as well to research about something that is called neurolinguistic programming, which is how you can use words in order to get a particular reaction from those that are hearing those words. All right, so that's called NLP. It's in the chat if you want to research about it. I guess that some of you have heard about it. Awesome, especially if you are connecting this to data and storytelling. This is what politicians do, you know, this is what actors do. This is going to give you a competitive advantage. And I'm talking about actors here, because when you are presenting to the board, I hope that you don't believe that common perception about just be yourself, just be yourself. Quite the opposite. If you have the opportunity to present to the board a project, you need to be someone else, a better, more powerful dimension of who you really are, because it's the moment of truth, and you cannot play with that moment of truth. And that's what actors do. You know, when you have an actor in a stage, they are far away from what they are. They become monsters, if I can use that word, to represent the dimension of this. And that's what we can do when we have all these resources, NLP, when we have design thinking understanding, when we have an understanding of how to manage stories in order to get a resolution to the conflict, which is what we discussed yesterday. All right, cool. So now that we have talked about the sign-off, what is the next step to develop the process? Is to find data. It's not going to be difficult for you to find data though, because it's abundant. It's everywhere, isn't it? It's actually difficult to manage the influx of data in organization. Yeah, but hopefully this is not your case, but I'm going to tell you where companies are failing in terms of receiving this influx of data. So in a company, usually you have an internal environment and you have an external one. And in this internal environment, who you have? You have employees, you have suppliers, you have staff, you have stakeholders, internal stakeholders, you have shareholders, you have investors, you have people that are very, very well versed with the company. All right? And they give you a lot of information and data that you process. And this information is basically what creates the know-how, how companies do things. So that is very important. And I believe this is critical. But companies are not paying attention to the external environment, I'm telling you. Companies are not paying attention to the external environment. What is the external environment? The customer, people that is buying from you. They are not employees. They are outside the company. You don't share with them the research and development that you do. You share with them the products as a result of that R&D. Yeah? But happens to be that I have noticed that companies are not absorbing the influx of data from these external stakeholders, not at professional level at least. So I'm going to tell you what are usually the touch points here that will give us some data. The most important one is social media. But this used to be websites just 5 years ago. Nowadays, today, 2021, a website for a company, extremely important. But it's a very different product to what it was 5 years ago. I don't know if you remember, but 5 years ago, websites were more like a repository of information about us, how to contact us, our products, our service, our investors, our financial plans, our strategic plans, and it was a huge repository of information. All right. Nowadays, websites are not like that. Websites are very simplistic. They have information that will facilitate people to buy what we sell, period. Period. That's it. That's it. If you are seeing websites today as a medium to communicate, to talk, to interact with your customers, you are back in 2016, okay? And if you have a business model that all right, that applies to this particular methodology, it may be an extension. But I work a lot in this field, and I can tell you, websites today, 2021, and it's going to be like that for a couple of years more, they only have one reason to exist. And that reason to exist is to facilitate how people buy your products. That's it. That's it. It's not about to share information about our company stakeholders or about our strategic plans. No. A website is, you go to the homepage, you see the products they sell or the services they provide. And then in the very homepage, you see what is the price, if there is a cost associated to that product or service. If you are government, right, that will not be the case. So you see what is the cost associated to you acquiring that product or service. A connection to an e-commerce platform. And if there is an issue, how you can contact that company. That's it. If there is an issue, look how you can contact that company. That is it. So that is the purpose of our website today, nothing else. Everything else, everything that is related to how I talk to you as my customer, how you talk to me as my customer, is done in social media. And that's why social media today is #1. And websites is #2. Also, you have more digital properties, like for example, you have a blog, or you have YouTube. By the way, blogs, I don't think they are needed anymore. But YouTube, wow. YouTube is critical for any data strategy that makes sense, because a lot of data comes as a result of people interacting with your YouTube channel. There is no reason not to have a YouTube channel, regardless you are government, retail, business to business. It is important because that is how you talk to people, all right? So that happens at social media level. What are you doing in your company to get data from these interactions to your data process? Very, very little. Very, very little, I believe. And that is critical for you to define the right process methodology. So there are some companies that are really good at providing solutions for you to manage this influx of external data. And they have some funnels that will facilitate that process too. A company that I use and that I really like is called HubSpot. HubSpot will really give you that data in a very, very friendly format. So HubSpot. Anybody has heard here about HubSpot? All right. HubSpot is a company from Boston, Massachusetts. And I like them. I reckon they are agile. I reckon they are very inexpensive. And I reckon they are really good because they are always educating you, training you. And I reckon that is phenomenal. All right. So HubSpot is a company that will connect your external touch points, brand touch points to your data processes. And I know that companies are not doing this. Companies are not taking advantage of this, right? So now we're talking about data. Data is what will be the building blocks of your stories. Yeah. So start making sure that you have enough building blocks. If you have played Lego, yesterday we were playing with Lego, remember? And that's what you do. You know, the story, which is the final house, is the product of these individual building blocks. Number two is about having all the building blocks with all the colors, the transparent ones as well, the circle ones. But companies are taking a lot of advantage of what they can manage, internal stakeholders, but they are not taking advantage of what is more difficult to manage, which is customers. Right? So that just an invitation for you to explore that. HubSpot is not a company that I am proposing here or selling at all, but it's the one that I use. But if you want to explore a different one, there is one that is called Salesforce. Which is really good too. It's just that it's too expensive, I believe, but it's really good too. Probably it's better, to be honest. It's like a Ferrari compared to a normal Mazda kind of thing. But you know, that just for you to do a little bit of research on those ones. All right, so now that we have discussed what is the importance of having the data, then the next process is to use that data to develop something, or the output of that data will be information. What is information in a company, guys? How do you define information in a company? Why is it useful to have information in a company? What do you think? What do you think? Why we need?
So the data is sort of, in my view, is like raw. And then the information, I suppose you kind of synthesize the data or make it more meaningful, and so that you can share that in the company.
Yeah. Now the dislocated data, that raw data, now it has a shape. Yeah. And that shape is allowing us to read and to understand the business environment. All right. That's the point. That's the point. Up until now, we didn't know what is the business environment, what is the legislation in the business environment, who are the competitors in that business environment, what is the size of that business environment, what is the buying cycle in that business environment. You need to understand all of those scenarios. In some companies, for instance, if you are in business to business, what happens with the buying cycles? What do you think? Compared to a business to customer buying cycle, which one is shorter? Which one is longer? Think about it. What do you think? What do you think, Rebecca? Which buying cycle will take more time? Business to business, business to customers?
I don't know.
All right, but let's think about it. When we buy something, we customers, we buy something, we usually buy something that is not a capital investment. We buy a fridge, or if it's very expensive, a 4D television or a car, but it's not like a capital investment. So we usually make those decisions in a matter of days. Oh, I need a shirt, I go and buy the shirt. It's not a capital investment. But when you are doing business to business interactions, usually we are talking in terms of millions of dollars. Yeah. And that makes the buying cycle much more slower. It may take 6 months for the company to actually develop a business case so you can invest $500,000, which is capital investment. So that's why I'm talking about here. You know, we need to get that information right, which is, all right, now I understand that I am participating in a process that is business to business. What about if it's business to government? That will bring a lot of different variables as well to your analysis, right? But at this moment, the only thing that we can visualize is the environment. Do you guys remember when we were talking yesterday about the landscape and how easy it is for us to define a landscape, a natural landscape? And we were talking about mountains and lakes and rivers and clouds and animals and that sort of things. And that describes a landscape to our friend, the alien from Mars. Easy, yeah? Easy to describe that because that is something that we are familiar with. We need to prepare ourselves to start operating in an environment that is completely upside down. There are no rules. There are no gravity there. There are not time frames. We need to prepare our business processes to be able to play there. That's why yesterday I was talking to about the NFTs and the metaverse, because there are no rules there, or the rules are very different in terms of what we know today. So this just allows us to see the creation of that universe, nothing else. Now, what follows is knowledge. And when you get knowledge as a result of analyzing the information that was created because you had raw data, but nothing will start if you didn't find the signal. At this moment is when you have something that I reckon is extremely important for a company, and it's called competitive advantage. So now you have competitive advantage. Why you have competitive advantage? Because I know something that you don't know. And happens to be that knowledge right now, 2021, is the most important asset a company may have. There is not any other thing that matters more to a company than the knowledge they have. Probably the brand, I will say, is equally as important for some companies that are really good in terms of branding. But yeah, branding and knowledge, they go so close in terms of company value. And I'm going to explain quickly why. In the traditional economy, guys, we had 4 factors of production. 4 factors of production. Anybody remembers the economic books? And what are the 4 factors of production? For a country to be viable, you need capital first. Yeah. What else do you need? You need land. What else do you need in a country for the country or for the city or for the space to be prosperous? Capital, you need land. What else do you need? You need machinery in order to produce things. Capital, land, machinery. What is the other element of production? 4. We were talking about it yesterday. It's the center of everything that we do. What should be this one? Labor, all right, people, labor. This is what you need. I mean, if you want to run an economy, forget it, if you don't have these 4 things. Now, that economy in the traditional perspective of it, you need capital, dollars, you need land, where to place the building, the factory, you need machines in order to produce things with raw materials, and you need labor, you need people that will be working 5 days per week, 8 hours per day or more, in order to give you a margin. That is the traditional view of the economy. This is changing. Is this what you like? Because if this is what you like, again, you are looking at the past. What I told you yesterday when we started the workshops, we are doing this to look at the future. So, labor today, who wants to work for you? No one. How easy is to get talent today? For those of you who are in position of power in your companies, how easy is to get talent today? It's not easy because talent are doing their own games. So it's not easy to get someone to work for you and to label something with "you are my staff, you are labor." Now it's not easy. So instead of labor, what we have today is alliances, partnerships, collaborations. And people don't work for you, people work with you. Yeah, again, we are talking about rhetoric. Now, we don't have machines. I mean, unless you're a millionaire and you can go to Germany or Italy to buy machines, probably that is the case of Luxottica, which is a very, very unique case to produce the things that they produce. They need to have the best manufacturing, and basically, and I'm pretty positive the majority of those machines came from Germany and Italy. Do we have that in majority of our businesses and government? No. But what we can have instead, we have computers. What about if we start talking about quantum computing? Yeah, the next barrier. But so far, all right, we have good machines. Happens to be those machines are computers, and with them we can create things. What about land? Land is expensive. A piece of land in Melbourne, 1,000 square meters, country Victoria, $500,000. So that's not what we need to aim for in terms of our analysis of knowledge. Instead of land, what do we have today? What represents the virtual land nowadays? Software. How good are you? Now, do you need to manage every single software that exists in the market? No, at all. That's not what I'm saying. Do you need to manage HubSpot? Not at all. Do you need to manage Salesforce? Not at all. Do you need to manage Pardot? Not at all. Do you need to manage ClickView? Not at all. Do you need to manage Miro to develop data visualizations? Not at all. Do you need to manage Tableau? Do you need to manage Power BI? Do you need to manage ClickView? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you need to know that they exist, where they came from, what is the price structure, what kind of service they provide to your company. And then you have a team that will be managing those. That's what I'm saying. But you need to know that component here, which is called software. Very, very important. You need to be illustrated in terms of what is happening in the external environment in terms of software. Do you need to use the software? No, that's not what I'm saying. And finally, instead of capital, which is a very important dynamic for a company to survive, what we need nowadays is knowledge. And that's why we have these newcomers, these startups with little capital, busting the balls of large corporations. Because they have knowledge, they have software, they have computers, and they play in teams, not in terms of staff. Whereas traditional companies, they think that they can survive against these new guys with capital in the bank, with land in the city, who wants to be in the city, with machines that are being depreciated, and with labor. This is the old view. So you need to be aware of this when you start developing your knowledge capability, which is the only thing, seriously, that will give you competitive advantage. Oh, Santi, but why you are so focused on competitive advantage? Because that is the reason why we exist. Guys, organizations, not different to people. Not different at all. Why we not different to animals? Not different. What is the only purpose of an animal, an organism? To survive. That's it, to survive. What is the purpose of an organization? To survive. How we survive? By being faster, smarter, more efficient than our competitors. Because if we don't do that, our customers sooner or later will not find a reason why to buy from us. Sooner or later, it may happen later, but if that happens, that is a threat to our existence in the corporate world. So that's why I always focus my speeches and conferences in terms of always have that in terms of your focus, competitive advantage. All right, so now we know that knowledge is critical for us to develop our processes. What is the next bastion of this particular perspective? So this is knowledge. Insight. All right. So this is This is the what. I really, really want you guys, it's just 3 hours. It's just not enough time to go through everything. But I really want you guys to watch that link, that video that I gave you about Simon Sinek, because that will allow you to understand this process. Otherwise, it's not going to be that clear. So the inside is the what. What was the sign? The why. Remember, I told you this is the why. The inside is the what, and everything in between, number 2, number 3, number 3, is the how. Yeah, and that's why, guys, I don't want you to, sorry about my words. Sometimes this is the way I talk, you know, but it's not like I don't want you. You can do whatever. It's just, I play with extremes, so you get a middle point. You know what I mean? But I deliver my things going to the extreme, so you get a medium point. So just bear with me, my very straightforward words. I don't want you to start with the what. I don't want you to start in the solution mode, because that is, you think that you're making things easier for everyone, but it may not work that way unless you're a very special leader. I want you to start with the why. Then I want you to move to the how, which is the process itself. And I want you people to find the inside. You know the inside anyway, because that's why you're driving people there. But you want people to find the inside themselves, and you want them to feel extremely pampered because how smart they are. That is how you get buy-in. All right. So this is the philosophy behind the process. We're going to go for, and I need you to understand this. We're going to go to a break now. It's 1:30. And when I came back, I map out in a little table here how you can develop that process starting tomorrow. All right. Any questions before we go to the break? All good? Okay. So 10 minutes, and I will see you in about 10 minutes. Okay. Thank you. How you guys going?
Good, thanks. Santi, I apologize. I will leave 2:15. Need to pick up kids, but then I will join.
No worries. Anyway, the workshop
Oh,
is
it's
being
recorded.
recorded. So I
Yes.
reckon you will receive that tonight anyway.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. Thank you for being here and for participating. Okay, guys. Look, I'm going to just present a little bit of a PowerPoint presentation, which is not my style, but just to go pretty much around everything that we have discussed so far in this last hour. So, we have, this is the module 3. We have discussed how to develop a workflow system. And we are going to discuss in the next few minutes about how to develop the business process management, the mapping, which is something critical. We're going to talk a little bit as well about how to get people to buy in your data project, which is what I call executive sponsorship. And we're going to talk about brand touch points, which is a very practical exercise that you guys are going to do according to your own businesses and experiences. So let me check something. So we have discussed what is the signal, and we say everything starts here. This is your finding. This is your capability to understand the business and to find out when something has to be addressed. So this is the result of your experience, the result of your knowledge, the result of your previous work experiences, the result of your preparation, your academic trajectory, and so on. So it's important for people to pick up these signals, you know, at personal level as well, but at corporate level is critical because everything starts here. Then what is next is to understand, all right, what are the building blocks that I have in order to develop something new? And that is what we refer as data. Then, and this is probably the most surprising element of all of them, what information truly is. Information is what allows us to visualize the business environment. It's what allows us to visualize the business environment. It's what allows us to move in that business environment, all right? We are not doing anything, but we are playing safe in that business environment. You know the currency, you know the legislation, you know the exchange rates, you know your competitors, you know the people that is working in your company, you know the suppliers, you know what is going on at global stage. You have information about the business environment. Because of it, then you develop knowledge. And this is the competitive advantage, which is what I discussed before, which is what allows you to be alive in the market in the long term. And that is what will drive us to get an insight. So as you can see here in this slide, the insight is the final product, is the what, is the advice, all right? When you give insight to directors, when you give insights to stakeholders, key stakeholders, then they will use this insight from you or your team in order to make a decision in terms of a strategy, as discussed yesterday, or in terms of innovation. Yeah, it could be different, but in terms of what is coming, I can tell you that probably they will be focused in terms of a strategy, because we are in disruptive times. Nobody can deny that. Yeah. So in terms of what is the strategy to go for 2022, and what is the alternative if you want to go with innovation. So this is something that I reckon is important for you to understand. This is the philosophy behind it. So this is how it works. You have a look at this chart, at this graphic, sorry. This is how it works. You know, when you start the process, when you start transformation, when you start understanding what should be the mapping process of your business, then you start with the signal. This is how we get born. This is the first thing that we receive. Our role, our team, the situation that is going on, sales going down, a new competitor coming, whatever the signal is. Then you have data, you have access to it for the very first time. And then you find out that everything is in these drives and everything is disconnected. The data majority of times is not divided in terms of categories and properties at all. So it's everything and somehow dislocated and not connected. Raw data. Then you start connecting that data, and then you find out that you have access to information that allows you to understand how the business operates in that competitive environment. As a result of that understanding, you develop knowledge, which is the competitive advantage. This is what makes you a valuable element of the organization, because now you are holding one of the most important elements of production, yes, in your organization, which is knowledge, holding knowledge. And because of it, then the output will be the insight. What is the insight? Insight is the final product. This is what we need to do in terms of the production plan. This is the new vehicle. This is the new whatever. Or, you know, this is my advice. This is what I reckon we should do in the organization. And this is the ultimate point in terms of value proposition, in terms of what we do as people working with data and processes. All right. So that was just to give you a little bit of a run around in terms of what we discussed in the last hour. All right. So how to develop the process now? This is how I do it. So the first part of it is what I call creation. The second component is selection. The third component is planning. And finally, managing and monitoring. So what happens here is, how can you map some of your business processes using this methodology? Will this work for everyone? Maybe not, but at least it will give you a perspective of how this is done as well by some people like me. Right. So what is the creation element or the creation component of this process? It's understanding that we need an idea. This idea is the result of we finding a signal in the market. And that's what I needed to explain to you, what is the philosophy behind. So what is the idea is we reacting to a signal in the market. And what we do, we propose that idea so someone can review that idea. Now, all right, who could be someone in the company to review the idea? How do we call this individual? Lien.
They would be the executives.
They will be the executives or the project sponsor. Yeah, a lot of people call this individual the project sponsor. So this starts with us. This starts with us because we understand the business environment, we understand data, we have information, we have knowledge, and as a result of it, we have an insight that is telling us, all right, now I have the insight. Can I share the insight like this? No, I cannot. It's too much to share. I need to share the process so people get the insight, all right? So we need to get someone to review that idea that has more power and more influence than you. And that individual is the sponsor or the executives. All right, good. So first step in the process, the idea. Then you need to review that idea with someone that has more power and influence. What you reckon could be the next step?
Approval?
Approval. So we have approval. And now, in terms of creation, this sub-process is done. In terms of creation, that sub-process is done. Why? Because the value chain has been mapped. First, idea. Second, review by someone with more power and influence. Finally, approval by that individual or by the executives of the company that have been influenced seriously by this person, the sponsor, that has more power and influence than you. So now you have the approval. This is really good so far. And this is what we need to map out in our presentations through our stories. All right? So what will be the next sub-process? Is selection. What is that we need to select? We need to select the portfolio. So what I mean by the portfolio, we need to find out what is that we need to sacrifice in order to make our product offering more efficient. And this is something, guys, that is personal to me as well. It's not something that I have found in terms of me researching other authors or academics at all. This is something that I have found as a result of my own analysis. And I'm going to share this with you because I reckon that is my duty. I strongly believe that in the next few years, companies are going to reduce dramatically the offering that they bring to the market. So I'm going to give you this in a different example. Right now, if you want to buy a shirt or a t-shirt, a shirt like this one, then you go to the shopping center and you may ask for this shirt in different sizes, L, M, XL, XXL, pink one like this one, blue, red, gray, yeah? A different array of possibilities are there for you because the economy until now was allowing that to happen. But I reckon the new dynamic in which we are starting to get into will not facilitate that influx of logistics for companies to be able to deliver 100 products. That's what I believe. I don't know if you have seen what is happening with the supply chain at global stage. Have you seen what is happening? It's difficult. Raw materials are super expensive. And companies need to survive, but how they can survive? They need to minimize the portfolio. They need to be selective. That's why this is called selection. And you need to select what is that should be included in the business process in terms of products and services now. I'm going to tell you something. I was part of a group that was working with Telstra. Telstra is a telecommunication industry here in Australia. Telstra, back in 2018, was offering about 35 products to the market, about 35 products to the market. And about 15 of them were for business, and about 20 of them were for individuals like you and me. After this kind of analysis that we did, it was easy for the company to decide, you know what, in terms of instead of we having 35 products, let's sacrifice those that are not giving us competitive advantage, and let's stick with those that are truly offering value to our customers. And now they have about 6 products. Telstra did it. And I reckon that is going to show the trend in terms of what is next. All right. So that's why the portfolio selection should be the next sub-process, should be the beginning of the next sub-process. It's about optimizing. It's about sacrificing. If you have 20 products in your website, think about which one of those 20 products are really serving your customers, and get your people, your best people, to work on those 3 products instead of having your best people to work on those 3 products plus 17 more. That is not good in this moment. My perspective, but if you think about it, in terms of what is happening with the supply chain, it kind of makes sense. It really kind of makes sense. All right, so what will be the next step in analyzing this process, this business process mapping? do you think? So you have the portfolio here. Then we have the selection. Of key punters, whether they are products or services. And then we have definition. We define a new portfolio that will represent our company from that point on to best advantage, given the current characteristics of the business environment. So this is a painful process. This is you telling departments, we don't need you anymore. This is you telling 100 people working in your company, sorry, but you have been made redundant. Because we have mapped our organization to be more effective in terms of what is coming. If you want help, you need to do, or you need to get someone that has a particular role, which is called change managers. These are the angels. This is the people that think about your business, but also think about people that is being affected by these processes changing. All right. So what is the next process that we need to have a look at? Planning. And now what we need here is a new business case. Now we have a new value proposition. We need to share this in our properties. I mean, our digital properties, our social media, our website, our telecommunications, our emails. We need to start saying, all right, this is how we see the future. All right. And then once you have communicated this new business case to the company, again, you need approval. But now you don't need approval from people working in the company. You need approval from your customers. Are you asking them what are you doing? No, this is not market research. But now you have something that is called an MVP. Have you guys heard about MVP? MVP, anyone? So minimum viable product. Yeah. So this new portfolio of reduced products and services itself is a new offering to the market, and you need to test that offering to the market super quickly. Some companies, for example, in Australia, they go to Adelaide, which is a city that is easy to understand and is easy to measure and easy to track, to develop that MVP analysis. And then if you see that the benefit, the response of the market is positive, then you implement it at national scale, if you are a national company, or global scale, if you are a global company. But this approval is the customers telling you, yes, what you have done makes sense to us. Yeah. So this is what is happening right now with Facebook, if you think about it, changing to Meta. They are telling people, all right, this is our new business. And the reason we are doing this, the business case, is because we are looking at the future as something that is more interactive and more open to collaboration and so on through digital technologies. As soon as they launch a product for people to start operating in a metaverse universe, people will give feedback to it. And at that point, the company will decide if they want to go full gear with it or not. Being Facebook, I'm pretty sure that they have already that mapped, but that is what a normal company will do. They launch an MVP, minimum viable product, to play safe. Okay. All right. And once it has been approved, then here you deliver the product. And then once you have delivered the product, then through some KPIs, you monitor that new product, which is what is giving the new shape to the company. So this looks like a very simple thing to do. My invitation to you is, in the next 15 minutes, try to map your business process using this methodology in a very simplistic way. Don't try to cover the entire business because that's probably too much to do in 10 minutes. Select one category of your business, one division of your business, one product of your business, one new project of your business, and try to map it in these regards. What is the name of the idea? Who is the person reviewing, supporting that idea? When that idea should be approved? That idea, how will change the current portfolio that we have? How we are going to select using which criteria, which are the products that we are going to hold as part of our portfolio. It could be margin, it could be popularity, it could be stock, I don't know. But you need to find out what is the argument for that to be. Then you need to define what will be the new product offering. Once you have defined the new product offering, then you develop now a new business, because so far you haven't done anything. Yeah, you are just thinking, creating. Now you develop a business case. What is the name of that project? What is the budget of that project? What will be the timeline of that project? What will be the resources of that project? So here in the business case, it's important that you also add or think about budget, resources, and timeline. What is the budget that we have? What are the resources that we have in terms of people, experts? What is the timeline for this to actually take shape? Once everything has been done in terms of paper, you have the planning. All right, now do an MVP. An MVP is not launching, because don't get confused. It's not about you telling the market we're launching a new, no, it's about you telling a niche of the market or a group segment of your market, a focus group. You tell them, hey, what about you if you test this? And then you tell us what you feel about it, all right? Then you do that focus testing exercise, which is called the MVP. All right, now, if this is working, because if this is not working, then here you stop, nothing happens. Then you start again, and that's what we do. But if this works well, then you deliver that product, then you launch that new solution. And then you need to find out in terms of finances, because you have a lot of controllers in your company, you need to find out how to monitor the development, the sales of that new perspective. All right, so I'm going to divide the group in about 3 small groups. And you can take one of your businesses as the one that will be doing this, or you may come up with a new idea. And then you just make a fictional representation of this exercise. So I'm going to divide the break in the room in 3 groups. Just give me 1 second and assigning this. So I have Lian, I have Celine, I have Rebecca, I have Asma. Then we have all right. So join your rooms, and I will be joining you as well in a couple of minutes. How are you, Eng? Eng, are you there?
Hi, I'm sorry, just now I have to step up. I'm having another connections problem again.
Okay, okay. Do you want me to add you to one of the groups that are doing the exercise?
No, I think it's okay. If I miss it, then it's fine. Then I'll just look through the what they call it, the recording then. Yeah.
Okay, it's a matter of 10 minutes for this exercise to finish anyway. All right.
All right. Okay. I'll just hang on there.
Yeah, just stay there. No worries.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
No worries. What is it? Touch points. Okay, guys, so I hope the exercise has been useful for you to question yourself in terms of how you can apply this methodology and to find out if it will make sense in terms of you sharing this with the board. Now, we need to get back to the board. And this is the point when we need to discuss how we get this across the board so they accept it, so they say yes to it. Yeah. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys for a second, just to show you where we are. So now we are discussing this. Now, how to get executive sponsorship, how to get the buy-in. Now tell me, through your experience, how do you get people to say yes?
That's a hard one.
Yes, it is a hard one.
Do you highlight the problems if you don't change? You highlight the impact of not moving towards this new product or going down this path. It's detrimental. If we stay in the same position, we'll lose business, we'll lose sales.
Good. So you share, you illustrate the problem. All right. What else?
Do you tell a story about, how consumers, for example, are living differently now and why they might need something like this? So kind of, context.
So you give the context, which I reckon is very, very important, because that is what will place everyone in the same kind of a scenario. And you need to be a good communicator to achieve this. You need to play with people's minds, and you need to bring them to that particular perspective, to that particular moment in time. And storytelling definitely helps here. All right. So thank you, Becky. You bring the context first, then you explain what the problem is. And what will be the last part?
And maybe what we're going to lose if we don't do it. I'm going back to maybe sense of urgency, talking about competition, or if there are some already existing initiatives, similar initiatives existing. I don't know.
I reckon it's a really good perspective as
Depends
well.
the story you want to tell, right? If you want
Depends the story you want to tell, but definitely will make a lot of sense. Like, if we don't do this, then this is going to happen. That's the way politicians talk. If you think about it, that's the way they act. They tell you, if we don't do this particular movement, then this will be the situation. And that get people in a point of stress that may incentivize them to make a decision. All right.
Mm.
So yeah, that is really good too. What if we don't do that? All right. So, but that is all in terms of describing the problem and the consequences if we don't solve it. So all good.
What about the dream? Like, if you do this, your life will be so much better. That's how you get people to say yes.
And that is exactly what I was discussing before in terms of how politicians talk. They always tell you the benefits, the good things about if we do something, and they also will tell you the bad things if we don't do that thing. Do I like that perspective? Not much, because the thing is, my position is how good it will be if we allow people to find the good things by themselves, how good it will be if we let people to find the negative things by themselves, because that will allow them to have a more informed decision that came from the deep of their hearts. They really think about it. They really make a decision that will benefit the way they are, instead of creating a rhetoric that may not resonate with the entire group study. But that is just the way I see it. Regardless of how I see it, the last point of this is the solution. Yeah. And this is what I want to focus now. Remember that I told you before, hey guys, let's not talk about solutions yet. That is not what we need to do. We need to talk about the context. We need to talk about the problem, and the solution is something that we should let for the last part of our presentation, for people to actually came with the solution that we have already in our mind. Now, that's where we are at this moment. So how we get people to say yes? By they finding a solution. And this solution, we need to create a dynamic so that solution is not in terms of an output, which is, for example, a product or a service, but is in terms of a benefit, all right? And that's what I'm going right now. This solution could be an output or could be an outcome or a benefit. Just to make the exercise a little bit simpler, let's forget outcome because output, outcome, they kind of sound similar. Let's discuss it, or let's talk about it as the benefit. And this is where I go in terms of the way I see things. If you really want people to say yes, do not talk about the output. Talk about the benefit. Now, we humans, we tend to frame solutions in terms of tangible things, like a product, like a service, like an experience. And that's why when we were doing the mapping, when you were asked about the idea, what you guys were giving me, an output or a benefit? Think about it. You were giving me the output, and I allowed you to do it. And it was, yeah, cool, but for a reason. Because that is our mind triggering us as well. Remember yesterday when we did the exercise about the 9 points, and our mind was giving us this square that nobody discussed it, nobody disclosed it. But our mind was like, oh, I need to do the lines here. We never thought that we could do lines like that. Well, mind. It's the same here. When we try to explain our processes, our ideas, we tend to give a definitive form to it so people can picture it. So what is the new idea? The new idea is a new system, a new tracking system, or the new idea is a new suit offering, right? And that is good, but it's not as good as if you discuss the idea in terms of the benefits it will bring to the organization. If you want to remember the process, all right? The first is creation, and then you have idea, and then you have here review, remember? And in the review component, you have someone with power and influence that will be supporting that idea of use against other ideas in the company, and will be supporting that idea of use, and will be representing you in front of everyone at the board, unless you are the board. Okay? What you need to do to convince that person to say yes to your digital transformation project that usually includes a lot of data is not to tell them what will be the output of what you do, but the benefit of what you do. So, examples of outputs. New product. Hey, we want to launch a new design of X or Y, a new product. Or no, we want to launch a new service so people can log in the website and they can extract the health information. Or a doctor can log in a website and extract the health information of the patients. Or no, what we want to develop is a new process in the company that will facilitate the flow of information. Or what we need to do is to buy a new software. Have you heard this before? Yeah, let's go and buy that software because that software is going to solve all the problems that we have. And companies go and buy the software, they have the software installed, and then they go, and now what I do with this software? There is no one here that can manage that software. We don't have processes, we don't have what instructions in terms of how that software should be utilized. This is very familiar to many of you, I guess, because this was very typical when we start transformation. We went crazy to buy softwares from different vendors. And then when they were installed, we were like, and now what? Because the process was not the right one. The process was technology first, then processes, and then people. As we discussed yesterday, what you gotta do is people first, always, then processes for people to use, to know what they're doing, and finally, any technology that will adapt to those processes and that people. Do not marry with the technology. So these are the outputs, the new software, the new product, the new service. Those are the tangible outputs. We don't talk about it. If you talk about them, it's very likely that the sponsor, the board, will tell you, you know what? No, we don't need that product. We don't need that software. We don't need that service. And whose fault? Your fault. Because you didn't use the psychology behind getting people to say yes. So how you transform this to a yes? You don't talk about outputs. You talk about benefits. Examples of benefits. Give me one.
Save money.
Money.
Save time.
More time. New market. More partners. Recognition. Awards. Accolades. That's what you need to do. You cannot show the product. It's a very minimalistic perspective that is, in this particular case, not representing your intellect to best advantage in terms of value creation. How that whatever, how that technology, how that product, how that software, how that new process will give us more money. How that new product, how that new service, how that new technology will give us more sales. And this is the language of the board. Like it or not. Like it or not. But that is the language of the board. If you go and you tell them this is going to give us dividends that will increase our execution in terms of value creation by 20%, our stakeholders, our shareholders will be happy with this 20% execution. Maybe they will say yes to you. More likely that they will say yes to you. But this one is amazing, more time. If there is one benefit that really resonates with the board, is this one. So you don't go and say to the board, this is the new software that we need to buy. No, you go to the board and you say, we need to have more time. So instead of we doing operations all the time, we have some space to do a strategy, okay? And with the current scenario that we have, that is just not happening because we need to run 80 steps for us to generate a report. We need more time. My project, my idea, my creation, my visualization of how the business process should be will give people in this department more time. And then the board will say yes, because that is the most important asset that you may have. Time. Because that's how you innovate. That's how you analyze the world. When people do not have time, what happens? They are constrained in that container and they don't see the world around them. And remember what we saw an hour ago about information. Information is understanding what is the environment like. So I really like that one. It makes a lot of sense to managers. Functional managers, they are very happy when you propose something that will give more time. All right, what is another benefit in market? All right, cool. Instead of you saying this new product, this new service is what we need to do, what you need to say is we have an opportunity to open in a new market. We have an opportunity because there is a treaty to open New Zealand. to open USA. Can we open USA? Yes, we can open USA because we are doing pretty well here. And this market is about to be saturated, so we should be looking at different markets. How can you do that? They will ask you, well, I have a particular product, a particular service that may help us to get the new market. At that point, the board is not thinking about the product or service. They are not evaluating your execution in terms of how much money you spent getting something new. They evaluate your execution in terms of how your intellect is helping the company to open a new market, which is one of the most interesting things for a company. When a company opens a new market, it's because the company is doing well, and you know that. What about new partners? Remember when we were talking about the old economy and the new economy? The old economy in terms of capital, land, machinery, and labor, and the new economy in terms of software, knowledge, computers, and alliances. That's what matters here. How can you expand operations because more companies want to play with you? A website should have one of the tabs, one of the few tabs should say partners, how you can partner with us. It's not just about how you can buy. All right, cool, that's for the customer. But if someone goes to the website that is a business person, how you can partner with us? Because a lot of value is created right now in terms of alliances. That is the future of companies. It's about collaboration. It's not about competition in terms of killing or getting someone below you. And another recognition, another aspect of you defining the benefit is recognition. And the recognition is sedimented in terms of branding. How our new business process, that is the result of we analyzing data, and then we can transfer that data to stories. How that story is telling the benefit in terms of brand recognition. Happens to be that the board will love this perspective. We love it because the brand is the most important asset a company has. You can sell everything. You can move markets. You can move locations. But if the company goes bankruptcy or the company wants to close down for any reason, the last thing and the most valuable thing will not be the machines that the company has, but the brand that the company has. Kodak, still a very relevant brand. And I'm pretty sure that if you want to buy Kodak as a brand, it could cost you millions and millions of dollars. The value is there. So these are the benefits. You need to invite people to participate in terms of that benefit. If we do that product, how much increase are we going to have in sales? How much time are we going to have to be strategic? How can we open new markets? How can we invite people to be our best partners, new suppliers, best suppliers, the best people want to play with us? How that will give us recognition in the marketplace for our brand to go up. If you frame your data business processes in these regards, in this framework, you get yeses. My perspective, analyze this from your own perspective, and then get a decision in terms of how you will be presenting your next project. All right, guys, it's 2:50. We're going to have our last break, and then in the last 30 minutes, we just go and do a run around in terms of what we have learned today. All right, cool. Thank you. All right, guys, so in the chat, there is a couple of links that I discussed yesterday. And so I found them, they are in the chat. The first link is an interview that I was invited to participate in. And I basically explain in more detail what we discussed yesterday in terms of how to run transformation, following the methodology people first, processes second, technology third. Very, very good perspective, I believe, in terms of how to execute transformation without investing millions of dollars in technology. So really good one. If you want to watch it, it's there for you to watch later. And there is another link in the chat. And this was an interview as well, a case study about the work I did at Packard Australia in terms of implementing HubSpot as our center, our brain for our business intelligence and visualization. So the link is there as well for you to see a little bit of how I do implement what I have been explaining you guys in the last couple of days. All right, if you want to access more information, you are welcome to see my personal website. My personal website is there you go. All right, so let's just go to our class. Give me 1 second. All right, so executive buy-in is done. Now we know that if you want to get a yes, what we need to do is to explain the benefits of your mapping process, not the output of it. All right, good one. And the last thing that we need to discuss is the Brown touch points. We are going to mix Brown touch points with some principles for effective data visualization. And I'm going to show you a couple of examples how you can present data with narrative and visual motion as well. That will be the last part of our class. So if you have any question or something, please let me know. Otherwise, I will continue now. All right, so let's talk about Brown touch points. The Brown touch points are really important for you to identify how data flows, because if you don't do this in the right or from the right perspective, you're going to have a lot of repetitive tasks and a lot of silos that are holding information and data. So at the center, you always need to have the parent business, the parent corporation. So when I was working for that company, Packard, here we had Packard at the center of our Brown touch points. The corporation, the parent corporation has to be at the center. Happens to be that for this particular company, we had four divisions. Division number one, trucks. Division number two, finance. Division number three, parts. And division number four, another truck company that was associated with us, that is from the Netherlands, that is called DAF. So division number one, trucks, was represented by a brand that is called Kenworth. Kenworth Trucks is a highly recognized brand in the trucking industry. All right, so these were our four divisions. For you to optimize the process, then you need to find out how they interact each other against the parent company, which that in this particular case is Packard. All right, so I'm going to ask, before I show you the mapping, how I did it, I'm going to ask some of you, by the way, who is actually here? I mean, I thank you, Celine, for being here, and thank you, Becky, for being present. All right, Julie, thank you. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. We're about to finish, yo. We have 30 minutes more. So I appreciate it if we just connect to this last bit of the conference for us to...
Actually, we're not too keen on modeling on the camera. That's why we turn it off.
That's okay. And that is okay. It's just that I want to ask you a few questions and I need to see who is present.
Sure.
Who is in a situation right now in which you have a parent company that you need to report to, that is giving you the budgets for you to operate? Majority of times the CEO or the director of the company is in this particular parent company, but you may have other divisions that interact with that parent company. Who is in that situation right now? So you have a parent company that is making the decision, the strategic decisions of the entire operation, and then you have some divisions that probably are representing the brands. That could be, for example, an scenario. Is that your case, Elaine?
Yes, but
what is the name of the parent company?
I don't know if I should call it this way, but it's a merger and they have most of the money. So it's Luxottica.
Luxottica is the parent company, right? That is the company that has been existing forever. And
Don't say that outside of this group. But this is the feeling. They are holding the budget. They are deciding about everything. So we are being...
and they hold everything and they have the power and they have the capability to make strategic decisions, even though they sometimes do not reflect what the individual divisions are doing. And that's what I want you guys to appreciate, all right? That is a normal situation in a business environment. You have a company at the center, which is the one that is representing the corporation. Sometimes they don't read what is going around the market because they are not dealing with the customers directly, all right? So in this particular company, in this particular case, we have Baka as the main company. And that company is exactly what it is where decisions are being made. But customers, they don't care about this company. They don't even know that the company exists. You know, you ask someone in the trucking industry, hey, do you know what is Packard? No, what is that? Well, that is actually the company. Happens to be that that company has some divisions that represent brands like Kenworth. Do you know Kenworth? Oh, yes, I know Kenworth. So that is the scenario, all right? If that is the scenario, which is corporate, what you need to do is to find out how the divisions are connected to the mother company, but how they are disconnected to other divisions. That is the point. So here we have Kenworth. Here we have DAF. So Kenworth from USA, DAF from the Netherlands, different trucks. Here, let's see if you can see this. We have parts. And here we have finance. If you need to develop business intelligence capabilities for this corporation, guys, if you need to develop business intelligence capabilities for these corporations that is represented by this company at legal level, but is seen by the market by these brands, if you need to install a business intelligence software to represent this company, in which one of these properties are you going to install that business intelligence system? What would you do, Asma? So examples of business intelligence, Microsoft Dynamics.
So your voice broke up in the middle. I could not hear the full sentence. Can you please repeat?
Yeah, so we're talking about, all right, how to actually now organize the brand touch points. Because what happens is the following. If you don't organize the brand touch points, you are going to have data dislocated, not connected, and in silos. We need to solve that now.
Okay, so in our company, and something that we have been using a lot is the Qualtrics platform. So we use that for our brand experience, customer experience, and user experience, all of that integrated in one platform and create that.
So you're using Qualtrics?
Yeah, and then we use a Tableau platform for recording for our customer complaints. So we have a separate data for customer complaints, different platform, and generally all touch points are there in the Qualtrics platform.
All right, so Qualtrics and Tableau are connected, and Tableau is more used for visualization, whereas Qualtrics is more used in order to receive the raw data. All right, that's what I mean. That is what usually happens, and that is good. So in this particular case, for this company, we had our business intelligence software at the center of the operation, which is the company that is registered, which is the company that is making decisions, which is the company that have the budget. All right. So we have the BI here. In this particular case, we had, just like you, Asma, we had two software. One that was called Microsoft Dynamics.
Yep.
And we use that one to get the data, and then we use HubSpot to represent that data, to visualize that data, to share that data, to report on that data. Because Microsoft Dynamics was not friendly for the board, was cumbersome, was more for the data scientists. Guys, what is the opposite, or what is the complement? Probably not the opposite. What is the complement of a data scientist in the organization, guys? How do we call that individual? You know what a data scientist is? Yeah. What is the problem with data scientists, guys? Tell me. Expensive.
Expensive, yes.
Very, very expensive.
Algorithm, they don't like data. At least those I had.
We have. Well, I guess some of them will not like the data. They will prefer the algorithm that will be working on that data, but they hate all the business methodology that is giving them more and more data. They don't want, and that is one of the problems with data scientists, by the way. They know pretty well what they do, but they don't know much about how the business operates. All right. All right, that's true, isn't it? That's true, because they are focused on the operation of that data in order to generate reports. Fair enough, that's what they do, that's why they learn. What is the complement of the data scientist nowadays? How do we call that new role that is not as prepared, is not as professional as the data scientist? Anybody knows? We call that person the data citizen.
Oh.
Is this new for majority of you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, good. So I'm going to tell you, all right, good. So a data scientist, what happens with a data scientist is expensive. It's very difficult to find. It's a very competitive role. You know, the good ones are already working for large corps. They are a kind of unicorn kind of role, character. All right. So, and a small company cannot get the data scientist. A medium-sized company can get the data citizen. Data citizen. I thought you knew about this, with all respect, but now you need to do a little bit of research about it, because that will help you to make more sense about what we have discussing. Because I think about you guys with couple of exemptions. Who is a data scientist here? Really? Who is a data scientist here? Paul, are you a data scientist? Celine, are you a data scientist?
Nope.
And that's why I need to get to know you guys, because that's when I was discussing this with Clariden, I was like, but who is the audience? Oh, it's mixed. All right, that will be tricky. Because if I talk to data scientists, we will be talking in terms of algorithms and how to create the modeling for the processes to work. But if you are not a data scientist, it will not make sense. But it's not a problem to be a data scientist if you take the role of a data citizen. So you guys, now that I have asked those questions, I reckon you guys are a data citizen. And what is a data citizen? I want you guys to do research about this, please. The data citizen is the person that is interpreting what is happening behind the scenes, that is interpreting what is being developed and created by the data scientist. And there are softwares that have been created and developed to be used by data citizens, not used by data scientists. Example, HubSpot. And that's what I want you guys to have a look at HubSpot. Have a look at that case study that is in the chat. Example, Salesforce. They allow someone that is not prepared in data science to interpret reports and to create and generate insights for the company to make decisions. So that's what we do here. We were working with Microsoft Dynamics for the data scientists, people in the organization, for they to create all the algorithms and the databases. And we were using HubSpot for the functional managers to actually extract reports on demand. Easy, drag and drop, no coding required. Fantastic. And that was done at the center of the organization. Now, this company, or this division, or this brand Kenwood, obviously was connected with Packard. This company, DAF, obviously was connected with Packard. And this is what I want you guys to do once you have some time or you rewatch this video, how you can start connecting the divisions of your company, the brands of your company with the one that is at the center. Obviously, Packard Parts was connected with the mother company. Obviously, the finance company, Packard Finance, was connected to the mother company. Now, this truck, Kenworth, heavy duty, extremely expensive, $300,000, $400,000. The kind of truck that will take you from Melbourne to Darwin, no problem. Hard metal, heavy duty. This other truck here for small deliveries in the city. Very different kind of truck, isn't it? Heavy duty, metropolitan use. Do we need to have the data of these two properties connected? Yes or no? What do you think? Both divisions connected with the mother company, of course. Do we need the data of these two divisions to be connected? Yes or no?
There are pros and cons of both.
There are pros and cons, but the cons will be more visible than the pros. So if you want to do proper data mapping, then you need to sacrifice this connection for the sake of simplicity. And then you say, these two properties, not connected, not connected. Because the customer base of this truck, totally different to the customer base of this truck. European buyers, Aussies, companies that are delivering the city, companies that are delivering interstate. Do the people from Kenworth, people that love Kenworth, do they need to know our association with DAF? No, it's not adding any value. So we decide at business intelligence level to disconnect these two properties. How that is visible in our website? You don't have a link to the other division. So if people were in the Kenwood website, when they go to the About Us or when they go to other they didn't see anything related to DAF. And that cleaned up the databases dramatically. We were really working well in terms of a funnel that makes sense because we disconnected these two properties. At financial level, of course, they are connected with Packard. At the strategic level, of course, they are connected to Packard. But in terms of market value, in terms of we proposing ideas to the market, in terms of we advertising to the market, in terms of we developing events for the market, these two companies totally separated, nothing to do with each other. And the company was like, Santi, are you for real? And I was like, yes, I am for real. We're going to do this. 7 years working on that project. Getting people, convinced that we needed to separate these two big brands. And the benefits were dramatic. That's why I want you to read that case study that I gave you for you to see the results of you doing something like this. Now, Packard Parts and DAF, of course, they are connected because people that is driving this truck, they need to buy parts in order to maintain those trucks. Kenworth and Packard Parts connected? Yes, they were connected. So Kenworth and Packard Parts, they were connected too. Because people buying Kenworth trucks, they were also buying parts in order to maintain those trucks. So in the Kenwood website, connection to Packard Parts. In the DAF website, connection to Packard Parts. Finance. Is finance connected to Packard parts? Do you need to go to the bank in order to buy a new light for your truck? Or do you need to go to the finance division to buy a new, I don't know, carpet or steering wheel for your truck? No. So these two divisions of the company, finance and Packard parts, not connected. And they were, Santi, how is it possible that you are going to disconnect our bank from the company that is providing parts? And I was, yes, because people are not financing parts, people are financing trucks. And they were, all right. Why are you doing this, Santi? Because we need to clean up the data. Okay, let's try, they say. Let's try to see how it works. Finance connected with Kenworth? Yes. Of course, because people need to finance something that costs $300,000. Kenworth connected with finance? Yes. Finance connected with DAF? Yes. DAF connected with finance? Yes. But finance connected with parts? No. DAF connected with Kenworth? No. Packard connected with everything? Yes. This is the mapping of your data properties. Now, is this mapping ideal? No, it's not. But with a little tweak, you can make it ideal. And that is the visualization component of it. I explained it to you graphically, dynamically, yes. Do I need a sophisticated software to explain this to you? No. Do I hate technology? No. But do I need technology first? No. Do you came here to learn technology? No. Do you came here to apply technology? Yes. And that's what we're doing now. How can we map differently this mapping? So instead of having all these lines, we have few lines. Try, take a piece of paper and a pen. Keep Packard at the middle. Change the other components so the model visually is more appealing. Try. So Packard at the middle, Kenworth, American truck, $500,000 a truck, DAF, European truck, $200,000, metropolitan use, interstate use. Finance is like a private bank for companies to finance the purchase, the capital purchase of both of these products, Kenworth and DAF. So there is a connection of finance with both. Parts is a warehouse that is selling things from $10 to $100 to $1,000 for people to maintain the trucks. This is the mapping that I did for the sake of this exercise. Is this mapping idea an optimal? No. Can you optimize it? Now, please. So you don't have all these connections because this is not efficient. We need to have a very, very clean representation of this business model. Can we do it? How are you going to change the order of things around it? And if you can do this, then do it in your company. And then you may say, all right, cool. You know, the workshop was something that I can apply now. All right, who has done it? So we keep Packard in the middle. All right. This is not efficient. Visually, it's not efficient because parts is connected to Kenworth and DAF, but I don't want this line to go through this center. I don't want it. It doesn't look good. This one, parts to DAF, no problem. But I have a problem with this one. Finance is connected with Kenworth, of course, because people need to finance a capital acquisition. And it's also connected with DAF because this is still $200,000. But I don't like to present the board this proposal with this line in the middle. How can you improve visualization? By switching the order of these divisions. So tell me, what is the ideal order, Becky?
I think you actually move Packer out and you have the others inside them and they're connecting within it visually. I don't know if that's the right answer.
We should keep, because the business intelligence software is at the center of the operation, we should keep always the mother company in the middle. So graphically, there is no doubt that that is the parent company. There is no doubt. So we need to keep this one in the middle. What is outside this company? The divisions. We have 4 divisions: Kenworth, DAF, Packard Parts, Packard Financial. Celine, how did you solve this problem?
I didn't solve.
All right.
No, because I was thinking that to actually centralize the parts and the finance together with Packard, but I don't think we can do that because anyway, the directions are always going to the 2 other brands, right? I mean, the finance and parts are supporting the brands.
Exactly. Parts and finance always supporting the brand. So the solution graphically is, instead of having them in the same line, we keep them as opposite. Have a look at this. You have Kenworth here, where DAF will go. DAF was here in the previous exercise. The 2 truck companies were next to each other because that's the way the corporate thinks. But we are disclosing a new model that may change how data flows. So instead of having DAF next to Kenworth, we put it down here. Because we don't need them to touch. They are different products for different markets, for different people. What about finance? Let's put finance here. What is not related to finance? Parts, because people don't finance parts. That is it. And look how clean is this mapping. Have a look how clean it is. Kenworth connected to Packard. DAF connected to Packard. Finance connected to Packard. Parts connected to Packard. Parts connected to DAF. DAF connected to parts. Kenworth connected to parts. Parts connected to Kenworth. Finance connected to Kenworth. Kenworth connected to finance. Finance connected to DAF. DAF connected to finance. That's what you need to do. That's what you need to do. In your own business, this is what you need to do. Difficult? Yes. Took us 7 years. I'm presenting you something that took us 7 years. And me fighting stakeholders and getting approvals and many other things. So that's, but this is what we need to get. We need to get a business model that is so easy to transfer to a graphic that no one will doubt how it works. The company will save millions. The data will flow freely. Have a look at the case study and we talk about it tomorrow a little bit more. Guys, thank you very much. It's 3:30. I gotta go. I hope you have enjoyed this workshop, and I will see you tomorrow.
Thank you. See you.
My pleasure.
See you guys tomorrow.
Thank you, Alvin.
Yep.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, everyone, for coming to the workshop.